Hey guys, today we're going to trace the path that a piece of plastic trash could take if it was dropped into the ocean and got swept along through the ocean currents until it got to the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Let's begin by reading the article. How does garbage make its way to the garbage patch? Depending on where the rubbish originates, it takes different lengths of time to reach the convergence zones. It takes just 1 year for garbage to travel from Japan and Asian countries. Meanwhile, it can take 6 years for rubbish from the west coast of America to reach the patch. A disposable container dropped into the ocean on the California coast would be collected by the California Current and swept towards South America. From there, the North Equatorial Current would pick it up and carry it towards Asia. Once it neared Japan, it could then be collected by the Kuroshio Current, which travels northwest until it meets the North Pacific Current. The North Pacific Current travels south past Hawaii until the gyres within the North Pacific Ocean pull the container towards the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. If you lived in Perth, which is a city in Australia, in case you didn't know, if you lived in Perth and dropped a plastic water bottle into the ocean, the current would carry it towards Africa for several years. 8 years later, it would be moving towards South America. At 10 years, it has made its way through Asia toward the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Okay, so now let's think about what this is telling us. It says that depending on where the rubbish originates, it takes different lengths of time to reach the convergence zones. So when they say depending on where it originates, they mean depending on where it begins or where it starts. It can take just 1 year for trash to travel from Japan and Asian countries, or in other cases, it may take much longer. Because scientists are able to study and predict the ocean currents that are mentioned in the text, like there's a California current, there's a North Equatorial current, there are currents near Japan that are predictable, that move in similar ways, and scientists study them and track them. So that's how scientists are able to figure out how much time it would take for a piece of trash, in this case a plastic bottle, to travel these different distances. Let's look at our map down here. The directions tell us to choose 2 colors, and on the below map to trace a possible path for color 1, a bottle dropped off the coast of Perth, which is a city right here on the coast of Australia, the western coast of Australia. And then option 2 is, or color 2, I shouldn't say option 2 because we have to do both. But in a different color, we're going to trace a possible path for a container dropped off the coast of Los Angeles, which is a city in California on the west coast of the United States. So that would be kind of over here in this area. Okay, so I'm going to mark Los Angeles. There we go. And it's not perfect. Sorry, my ability to show the exact location on these maps is not amazing. So I'm going to choose green for my first color. If someone dropped a plastic bottle in the ocean over here at Perth, these ocean currents that scientists are able to study would sweep it along, headed in this direction, so further west, and it would keep going kind of below the coast of Africa, which is here. Remember, we labeled this continent Africa before. So it would go this way. And then now this map is showing, of course, we know the globe is a circle. So if we were to picture this map, all these locations located on a sphere or a 3-dimensional circle, this would eventually wrap around to the other side, and our plastic bottle would end up floating past South America, below the southern coast of South America here, because this is South America, this continent here, South America. And it would keep going. And then I believe it would get swept up here and head into the Great Pacific Garbage Patch up here by Hawaii. Okay, so that's path number 1. And then path number 2, I'm going to do in pink. If somebody tossed a plastic bottle into the water by Los Angeles, which is up here, I believe it would have a much shorter journey. So here's Los Angeles. If someone just dropped their bottle into the water here, it's going to get swept down along the coast, the west coast of the United States, which is like right here. This is the west coast of the US. And then it's going to curve around and back up and end up here in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. So that's a much shorter distance. Just kind of tracing that so you can see it better. Okay, so those are 2 possible paths that our plastic bottle could take. And interestingly, they're going to start at completely different locations on the globe, on 2 different continents, in fact. And yet, because of these ocean currents, they're going to both end up in the same place, which is in this huge floating garbage patch in the Pacific Ocean. Okay, that's it for today, guys.